Hi, welcome back to Grains in Small Places. Last week I put a video out about my sweet yeasty dinner rolls, and I also have a recipe for Hawaiian rolls on my blog. Well, I had a lot of you guys requesting me to make a video on my Hawaiian rolls. So, without further ado, let me show you how I do it. Okay, and first we're going to start out milling our flour. I'll put a link below to my flour mill in case you're interested. We're going to mill 2 1/4 cups of hard white wheat berries, and that's going to give us about 3 1/2 cups of fresh milled flour, or 420 grams. And I'm going to set that to the side, and then we're going to warm up 1 cup of pineapple juice. Now you can use fresh pineapple juice, or you can use a can of pineapple juice, whichever you have handy. Just going to heat that in the microwave until it's warm. And then I also have some softened butter here. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of that, and I'm just going to cut it up in little pieces so it mixes better. And then I'm going to add 1/3 cup of brown sugar. I'm going to add 2 eggs and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. If you're interested in learning how to make your own homemade vanilla, I will put a link in the description and try to put one to pop up top here. And 1 teaspoon of salt. And don't worry, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description box for you with this recipe that you can print off and save for later use. I'm going to mix until all of the ingredients are combined. And now I can add in our flour. Okay, and now that that flour is added in, we're just going to mix that all in until it's all incorporated. And then after it's all mixed up, I'm just going to let this sit for about 15 minutes. That way the fresh milled flour is able to absorb some of the liquid, and it helps with our kneading process for the next step. I just like to make sure that no dry flour is still showing before I let this rest for 15 minutes. And then I also like to cover it with some cling film. So after it's sat, I'm going to go ahead and add 2 1/2 teaspoons of my instant yeast. And I'm going to mix that in. And here's where I'm going to start the kneading process. And we want to knead this until our dough reaches the window pane stage. Now, I do like my dough a little bit on the wet side. I find that it makes a airier, lighter roll or bread. So if you like yours to be a little bit heavier, you could add more flour, but don't add so much that it becomes dry and then it's really hard to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and knead this until it reaches the window pane stage, and it will be light and stretchy and it won't break when I start to pull it, you'll see. And then after it reaches that stage, I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to let it sit for about 1 hour to 2 hours until my dough has doubled in size. It depends on your kitchen, how warm it is, how much moisture there is, the humidity, elevation. All of these things do affect our dough, which is why one recipe is never perfect for everyone. Which is why I guess we allow a little bit of grace in how much flour or liquid and time and all of those things definitely play a factor. And after I get the consistency that I like, I go ahead and spray it with oil and cover it with cling film and let it rise for 1 to 2 hours, or until it doubles in size. And this week we were actually in Lake Havasu City, Arizona, and I wanted to just show you this little area. This is where the actual London Bridge was moved to way back when, so it's just really beautiful here. I know they talk about not a lot of water frontage in Arizona, but this is definitely the spot to be if you're a water person, but yet you also like the desert. We stopped at this awesome restaurant called The Chair, and we got this amazing tsunami burger, and Matt actually was able to finish it. However, I did steal quite a bit of his prize.
Getting ready. Oh, the whole thing at once.
Hey, Yarla.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You guys enjoy.
Okay, and now that our dough has doubled, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on my counter here. You could use flour if you want. I just prefer to keep my dough a little bit on the moist side. So this helps nothing to stick, and I like to work with my hands. So I'm just going to spread that on the table, and then I'll grab the dough out and I will divide it into 12 equal-ish pieces. You can weigh these out if you want them to be exact, but you can see how the dough is very stretchy and pliable. And then I have this little 9x13 pan that I have a piece of parchment paper on, and I'm going to just put all of these rolls onto this parchment paper for the second rise. You can also visit me on my Facebook page at Grains in Small Places, and there you'll find that I post all of my videos and all of my recipe posts all in one place, so you'll never miss a recipe. Leave a comment below if you've ever tried to make these Hawaiian rolls before. I'd love to hear from you. I really appreciate all the comments and kind words you all have. You're just so gracious to me, and I just really want to take the time to tell you how much I appreciate you guys. It's what makes me continue to make videos. Okay, and now that I have each 12 piece, I'm just going to kind of flatten it down and make a little ball with my hand. And then I'm going to shape each of the 12 pieces into my roll shape. I like to roll them in a small ball and then use my one hand to push up through my other hand, tightening the outside of the ball. We want surface tension here. Shaping is actually an important part of bread and dough making, so we don't really want to skip this step. It does help to make our final product a little bit better. And then I'm going to cover the rolls. This is the point where you could decide if you want to make the rolls today or if you want to make the rolls tomorrow. Actually, my favorite way is to prepare these the day before I want to bake them. And what I love to do is at this point, after I have them covered, I will put them in my refrigerator and I will let them sit in there overnight. And this helps to develop that wonderful yeasty flavor that is really hard to mimic without adding extra ingredients. And I find that they're just so light and fluffy and pillowy. So this is my favorite method. So if you chose to do the refrigerator method, you will pull these out the next day before you want to bake them, and they'll need to sit on your counter for close to 2 hours for them to come up to room temperature. And at that point in time, then you can just continue to bake them the same way. If you don't like that strong yeast flavor, then it would be better for you to just set these aside covered for about 40 minutes or so until they start to look puffy. And then you can go ahead and bake them. And they bake for 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 to 25 minutes until the internal temperature is 190 degrees Fahrenheit inside the roll. I like to use a little instant read meat thermometer. I can put a link below to the one I love to use. Never steers me wrong. And then right after they come out of the oven, I like to just take either a stick of butter and just rub it over the top of the rolls, or you could melt some butter and brush it over the top. But if I get to them right away, it's easier for me to take the stick of butter and just rub it on the top of the rolls. And this just makes them taste so good. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today as we made these Hawaiian rolls. Don't forget to check out my blog at grainsandsmallplaces.net, where you can find this recipe and a whole bunch of other recipes. If you're liking these recipes, then don't forget to give it a like and maybe subscribe. That way you'll find out what content I'm putting out next. Thank you so much for stopping by Grains in Small Places. Goodbye.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba.